Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Make It Smart Matchmaking Challenge webinar delivered by the Scottish Construction Scotland Innovation Centre. Hello, my name is John McLennan, and I am an Innovation Manager with the Construction Scotland Innovation Centre based in Inverness. I am delighted to be joined by my colleague Lucy Black, Tony Wood of the Scottish Procurement Alliance, and Near Sutherland of local company Marker. I'm also delighted to welcome you, the audience today, to this webinar. Before we get underway, I would like to highlight some housekeeping points to help the webinar run as smoothly as possible. Firstly, the session is being recorded and presentations will be available following the conclusion of the webinar. All participants will be on mute for the duration of the webinar, but I do encourage you to ask questions throughout. To do so, click on Questions in the control panel, type in your question and press Send. We'll try to answer as many as we can during the Q&A session. Your feedback and opinions are extremely important to us, and so we will note each and every question, and if we don't have time to answer them all today, we will endeavour to incorporate them into future presentations in the series. There will be interactive polls displayed on your screen between each of the segments today. Please answer them and we can display the results for everyone to see during the webinar. This will help inform the direction of travel of the Hub series. In the background, we have Danielle, who will make sure everything runs smoothly. And finally, in the spirit of good event management, please familiarise yourself with the nearest toilet facilities. There are no fire alarms planned for today, but if you should hear one, please make sure it is your own before vacating the building. I appreciate some of you may not be aware of what the Construction Scotland Innovation Centre does, and therefore I'd like to take a few moments to outline the work we undertake, how we collaborate to drive forward innovation in the construction and manufacturing sectors. We are a family of 7 innovation centres, funded and supported by the Scottish Funding Council, Highlands and Islands Enterprise and Scottish Enterprise. Each innovation centre has its own focus, and we started 4 years ago. Our approach is to fund academia to solve industry challenges. We do this by connecting the brightest minds and the biggest projects to bring transformation change in the construction sector. We can help with access to expertise, access to networks, funding support for innovation, training and skills, factory and equipment, and facility use. In terms of some of our key progress and impacts to date, we have supported 355 projects, completed 281, and that number still grows. We have 74 inquiries in the last quarter and 60 projects in development. We've also supported 66 master students into the sector. We have 4 industry priorities aligned to net zero carbon outcomes. These are digital transformation to increase productivity in the sector, culture change in terms of skills and inclusivity. We have accelerating industrialisation with a focus on offsite and modular, and we have sustainable materials and retrofit. We have 4 key activities. We deliver the 4 themes that I've just spoken about through these 4 key activities: a connected ecosystem, collaborative projects, future skills, and the innovation factory. The Make It Smart Hub, and you can see our supporting partners at the bottom of the slide there. My contact details are on screen, and we'll go back to the webinar. So just before I hand over to Lucy, the Make It Smart Hub was launched just 2 weeks ago and is a new business hub to boost innovation in construction and manufacturing companies in the Highlands and Islands. The Make It Smart Hub matchmaking platform gives the industry quick access to expertise and matching solutions with key challenges. We have created the matching platform to quickly stimulate much needed innovation projects to help solve both the immediate and long-term challenges the sectors are facing. When CSIC looked at how we could help the sector, it was clear that one of our greatest strengths is our pivotal role in the heart of an ecosystem with industry, academia, and the public sector. Companies, organizations, clients, and supply chain might have major challenges with work practices, workforce, build projects, or business resilience caused by the COVID pandemic. We know at the same time that our solution developers and companies providing innovative products or services with close to market ideas that could help the Construction Scotland sector on its road to recovery. These solutions might already have been developed for other circumstances or other sectors, and they could easily and rapidly be adapted and deployed to help the current construction challenges. The Make It Smart Hub Matchmaking platform will bring these together, and we have created a free and easy use platform for you. Organizations facing challenges can browse for solutions, and solution providers can find companies with problems to solve. But we need you to populate it. We will be working hard over the next coming weeks to get this platform out to the ecosystem and to start these conversations that can lead to innovative projects with a long-term legacy. So let's get connected, get solutions focused, and let's build a bright future for the construction and manufacturing sectors. Briefly, the agenda, I will shortly hand over to Lucy Black, and then we'll hear from Tony Wood from the Scottish Procurement Alliance, Neil Sutherland from MACAR. We'll finish with a question and answering session at the end, not forgetting the polls in between. This morning, we have given the matchmaking platform a challenge theme, modular construction, and we'll be hearing from local experts later in the programme about the key needs, pains, gains and goals that this key industry faces. Also later in the programme, I will lead you through a walkthrough of how to register and create a profile on the matchmaking platform itself. This short demonstration will help potential business partners to find you and start conversations, co-create solutions, and simply browse the catalogue of registered participants. Over to you, Lucy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lucy Black, and I'm Director of Innovation and Engagement at Construction Scotland Innovation Centre. Hold on, I'm just about to share my screen to you all. Hopefully that's okay. So I'm delighted to be delivering a short introduction on the increasing use and benefits of modular construction with a view to increasing its use and delivery in projects across the Highlands and Islands. So 2019 saw a massive increase in off-site manufacturing investment across the UK and the embracing of modular construction through a number of high-profile names. Now, some will be familiar to you there, and they're not classic construction sector names in many cases too. We've had entrants from other industries. IKEA, Skanska, Airbnb, Amazon and Porsche are now backing a modular construction company in the US. And the reason for this is that we're moving to a more manufacturing focus. And so these players, like Porsche from the automotive industry, are transferring their skills and knowledge from other manufacturing industries to capitalise on the new manufacturing opportunity within the construction of buildings. Good news, however, we also have a growing number of Scottish players. Oops. Excuse me. A growing number of Scottish players, including several in the Highlands and Islands, who are embracing off-site construction and modular construction as their business model to help construction projects be built more quickly, to a higher quality, and often with a much lower carbon footprint than traditional builds. MacLeod Construction in Lochgilphead is an example, and they've invested in off-site manufacturing lines for timber. Other leading off-site players, MACAR, who you'll hear from later, Northcott and Caithness, Carbon Dynamic in Invergordon, Robertson Timber Engineering in Elgin, they're all members of Offsite Solutions Scotland, which is a leading cooperative of Scottish off-site companies who are pooling their knowledge and expertise to forward the industry to address skills challenges, technical challenges, and improve market awareness and drive cultural change to ensure that there's going to be national and international growth for the Scottish off-site sector. I'd also like to highlight Edinburgh Napier University's Centre for Off-site Construction and Innovative Structures. It's a global centre of excellence in off-site and modular construction, particularly in timber. and they're an observer on Offsite Solutions Scotland's board, as well as CSIC. So before I go into the benefits, what actually is modular construction? And this slide shows you. It's a process really in which a building is manufactured and constructed in part or in whole, off-site under controlled factory conditions. It uses the same materials and designs to the same codes and standards as conventionally built facilities, but in a much shorter period. Modular construction allows for a platform approach, taking the same basic elements and components to allow for mass manufacture, but the kit of parts also affords customization to ensure all buildings do not have the same look and feel. And modular construction is not just applicable to house building, but to all types of structures, and it's increasingly used in the construction of hotels, such as the Moxie hotel chain, schools, health centres, and commercial and industrial buildings. And this portal concept here is a platform approach, a modular approach to building industrial buildings. Now I'm just going to flick through some pictures, some images to show you some of the modular build projects that have taken place in Construction Scotland Innovation Centre's Innovation Factory in Hamilton to really promote the use and the monitoring, the lean construction of using this building methodology. So these are closed panel timber frames. And here's a completed project by Carbon Dynamic, a social housing development in Alness. The before and the after. This is a rural project in the Central Belt in Clackmannanshire. This was the largest development in its time to be built fully modular way, and it was a 48 unit development built to the Gold Sustainability Standard and led by Link Housing Association. Edinburgh Napier University carried out building performance monitoring and post-occupancy evaluation with funding from Construction Scotland Innovation Centre. So what are the benefits of modular construction? I have a timing issue which I hadn't appreciated, so I apologise there. For the manufacturer, working in a factory environment and using automated manufacturing and digital manufacturing techniques results in less waste, higher quality components, which when built into when the components are built into modules, it results in more airtight buildings and often results in much less snagging. Built in factory environments, as I'm sure you're aware, also allows for much less disruption due to the vagaries of the Scottish weather. This picture is a great example of how GML contracts off-site manufactured Csic kit modules, that's structurally insulated panels. Their modules arrive on site and how they are protected from the vagaries of the weather in transit. So this was actually a kit waiting at the dock, ready to make its way to the Knoydart Peninsula. All the panels and modules are fully wrapped and they're packed in numerical order with all fixings, adhesives, erection drawings and a fully detailed 3D model all supplied to the contractor. So these kits are well protected if the weather turns sour, so there's nothing to worry about, and that obviously results in a much faster build process. For the developer, for the client, I do apologise about this. For the developer and client, the benefits of a modular construction approach result, as I say, in quicker results. The building and site works can be completed simultaneously and often less complex groundworks are required. There's less disruption on sites as components and modules are delivered in less frequent bundles. And in the Highlands and Islands, this is probably particularly important in terms of the reduced delivery to site because it also reduces traffic on rural roads. So with these benefits, and as we emerge out of COVID, modular construction really does offer an ideal solution for local authorities in particular to quickly regenerate surplus brownfield sites and to quickly meet the local housing need and boost the economy post-COVID. Now, I've spoken about all the benefits. Neil from Makar will talk through some of the challenges as well of modular construction. So, just before I finish, what are CSIC doing to support modular construction? Well, to start with, we've got the challenge through the Make It Smart Hub project. The Make It Smart Hub project, as John mentioned, is a free-to-use resource which is going to connect the Highlands and Islands community with up-to-date training, access to equipment as it travels around the country through the college, the region through the college network, through the University in Highlands and Islands. And it also will give you opportunity and access to business opportunities. The CSIC Innovation Factory is a 35,000 square foot facility for the construction industry based down in Hamilton. It's the UK industry's first dedicated prototyping, manufacturing and future skills centre of excellence. It's home to £1.5 million of advanced manufacturing equipment, all under one roof, and is a really flexible prototyping space, which we would encourage you to use, and with support from innovation funding potentially. And it's capable of accommodating all size of prototype and demo structures and carrying out acoustic and thermal analysis and testing. And everything within there is serviced by a 5-ton gantry crane to make sure we can get it around the factory and also anything modular out the door. Here we go. Equally, we're running a really pushing a mass timber alliance and bio offsite manufacturing. This is us bringing together the supply chain to encourage the use of homegrown engineered timber products in the UK market. And so we're working with the supply chain and the research base to carry out a series of studies on the mechanical engineering, productivity and environmental performance of predominantly Scottish homegrown timber, and how this can be used within mass timber, cross-laminated timber, nail-laminated timber, glue-lam, and how this can be used within buildings and increasingly within modular buildings. So the project at the moment is just welcomed this week, our first pilot, which is actually led by Matt Stevenson, who's the former MD of Carbon Dynamic, and has now launched the Synergy project, part of the Synergy company. And this is to manufacture the UK's first full-scale homegrown CLT panels for use in a whole modular neighbourhood concept under the Synergy brand. This is our cross-laminated timber press within the Innovation Factory, which the Synergy project is going to be maximising, and it's the UK's only cross-laminated timber press, so allowing a first with Scottish homegrown timber. And just to show you the result of this is the Multiply, a project that we delivered a couple of years ago from the factory. This was in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, part of a design festival. But all these modular units were part of a maze structure called Multiply, and it was manufactured out of a hardwood cross-laminated timber. And finally, we've got a focus on off-site skills. You'll be able to access through the hub or through the Construction Innovation Centre website the off-site ready resources, which is a series of 7 online training modules, all specialising in key areas of off-site construction, including modular. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. I hope that's given you some sort of insight into the benefits and how the Highlands and Islands could be progressing the use of modular construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. It was great to see some real life examples taking place of modular construction, and it's particularly relevant to the Highlands and Islands in terms of its environment. I think now we're just going to take the first poll. That should be up on screen shortly. Thank you for all your votes, and the voting is in, and we can see that the two main areas for holding back development of modular construction in Scotland is a disconnected ecosystem or lack of local supply chains and a lack of investment. Thank you. So we will now move on, and I'm delighted to introduce Tony Wood of the Scottish Procurement Alliance.
Good morning, everybody. Just waiting to share my screen if I can. Is my screen shared now, or?
You can see your screen.
You can see my screen. Brilliant. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today talking to you. I'm from the Scottish Procurement Alliance. I'm the Group Technical Manager. I'm responsible for our construction frameworks, which cover modular buildings, which include, touched on previously, education, healthcare, but also our housing frameworks. So I'm going to give you a brief presentation on some of the work we've been doing at the moment and some of the issues and concerns that are coming up and may affect you. So first of all, I just wanted to touch on, we're involved with public sector procurement. So public sector procurement is covered by the Public Contracts Scotland regulations 2015. Any opportunities for public sector organisations have to be published on the Public Contracts Scotland portal and in the official journal, which I'm sure you may have heard of, OJU. And from the 1st of January, when we Brexit, this will become under Find a Tender, which will be a UK portal. And unfortunately, for some reason, best known to the UK government, it won't become live until the 1st of January. So nobody's actually seen this yet. So under these terms, the way people can procure public sector organisations, contract project specific, so they'll go out for one particular project at the time to procure that. Then you have frameworks, which are pre-tender frameworks, which is what I'll go on to talk a bit about of how the SPA approach the market. And also you have DPSs, which are dynamic purchasing systems, which are fairly new under the regulations, and you'll see some of those starting to evolve and come out into the marketplace as well. They have certain pitfalls in them, but we'll hopefully cover a bit more of that as we move through the presentation. So where we come from is we've got an off-site construction framework. Now, I think somebody else has highlighted already, and it was highlighted in the poll that we just had, that trying to find suppliers, particularly for the Highlands and Islands, is very difficult. So this is the second iteration that we've had of the framework, and we're still struggling to find suppliers who can deliver to the Highlands and Islands area through off-site manufacturing. You see, we've got limited coverage, probably 3 companies that will deliver into the Highlands and Islands area within our framework. So that's one of the things we need to do, and hoping to use this as an opportunity to engage with the supply chain and see if we can get more people involved in this process so that you can deliver to the public sector organisations. So framework development, we had the off-site manufacturing framework. We've got over 100 members now of the SPA, public sector organisations, local authorities, housing associations, and we went out to 46 of the 76 organisations that are actually building houses to find out what they wanted to do. And they wanted, rather than the off-site framework, they wanted a traditional build framework. Now, bearing in mind that at least 80% of the houses are timber frame in Scotland, and with the previous presenters, you would argue that those are modular components anyway. We looked at evolving the framework to get contractors involved, because again, at the moment, we've got this anomaly between manufacturers see themselves as manufacturers rather than offering turnkey solutions. So there's a few that do, people like CCG, are contractors who've ended up with their own manufacturing facility. So they wanted contractor-led, they wanted to support SMEs, so bring more people into delivering housings for the public sector. but they also wanted development agreements. So on larger scale sites, could they work with people to actually deliver bigger projects with open sale properties and shared ownership properties? Also land purchase. So under the procurement regulations, bundled deals where you would provide the land and housing to a public sector client. If the public sector client has any involvement in the design of those houses, then that would be covered by the procurement regulations. So we were asked to look at that and see how we could include that. And also we were asked by clients to look at consultancy services. So how could we support them through the process of building houses within Scotland? So we came up with this wonderful one. This was our framework for more traditional construction. And one of the things we did, we actually broke it down into the 32 local authority areas in Scotland. So across the top there, you can see the companies that applied, and you can see which areas they applied for. And what we were trying to do here is, I guess, is intelligent procurement, is to find out where companies actually want to deliver services. And you can see there's very few of the companies that actually ticked all of the boxes to say they wanted to deliver all types of projects all across Scotland. And if you look towards the bottom third of it, you can see that in the Highlands and Islands, it's very difficult to get companies to commit to deliver services in those areas. So we actually broke out all the various islands into separate areas to see who we could get. We had a couple of companies, you can see, who ticked all the boxes, but most of the time the companies were being intelligent about picking those areas that they're actually willing to deliver into. So what has this meant? Scottish Procurement Alliance, we've got 198 projects across the 3 frameworks we've had. So we've on our second iteration of our off-site framework at the moment. And we estimate we've delivered about 5,000 houses across Scotland so far. So the framework and the procurement for the public sector has been very successful. And you can see there with our housing framework, the H1 workstream 2, which is where we've done the house construction, we've got 106 projects. So people are leaning to more the contractor-led approach, a turnkey solution, rather than dealing with manufacturers themselves. But bearing in mind that most of these units will be delivered via timber frame anyway. And we've also, through our consultancy framework, provided 66 project support to clients. Now, some of the issues we've highlighted with modular issues, early engagement with the supply chain, particularly with planning and design. Invariably, it's more difficult to modularize a project if it's already been through planning. And if we're trying to add as much value into the process by starting to move to more 3-dimensional pods are being delivered, that earlier engagement is a key requirement. And certainly in England, that's one of the problems they found, is planning has gone through and then it makes it more difficult to design for manufacture. Up in Scotland, you have more flexibility because most people are delivering panelised systems, so it's more flexible to go in with that at a later stage in the design process. Assumption, cheaper and quicker. A lot of the time clients will, I guess, dip their toe in the water and they'll try pilot projects. They tend to be small projects, so you don't have the benefit of cost saving over large production runs. And a lot of the time they tend to pick difficult sites. You find with local authorities they'll be trying to release land which may be brownfield sites in in-situ areas which could have contamination or other issues with them, so it makes it more difficult. Use of pre-construction service agreements reduce the risk for all. A lot of the time clients tend to approach procurement on a design and build, and they throw all the risk onto the supply chain to do that. And certainly one of the things we found is that manufacturers are more averse to risk, which means prices tend to be higher compared to contractors. But by using a pre-contract service agreement, you can actually work together as a team and minimize the risk for both parties going through. Then we come on to aggregation demand. For manufacturers, you want to be able to get a consistent run, be able to feed the factory. And one of the problems we found is getting clients to actually, within their own organisation, aggregate their demands. So be able to put out a series of sites or projects themselves. And then there's the issue of standardization, design and specification. You can go to a site for a client and you'll find that all the houses have been drawn up differently when the initial design. So you need to standardize that. Once a client standardize that, you can bring a number of clients together to aggregate the demand through that process. And then the contract, is it a JCT? Is it design and build? Is it a standard form of contract, or does the client have a number of amendments to that? And then if you're trying to bring a number of clients together and they're all using different contracts, how do you square that circle? So leading on from that, one of the things we've looked at is an off-site project integrator. So these are specialist consultants who have experience and knowledge of off-site projects, and they can actually work with the clients to be able to bring their knowledge in and integrate the approach, the design team, the manufacturing team, and all the members of the projects together. So we're looking at using this as a potential route to feed in from our other frameworks, but also potentially to feed in suppliers from outside of our frameworks, and looking at how we expand that into things like groundworks so that they can coordinate for the client and assist them to be able to deliver modular buildings in a more efficient way if they don't have the understanding of how to do that. I should touch on one other issue we've had, and it's a particular topic in Scotland, is social value. So if you're a modular manufacturer and your factory is miles away from the client, how do you actually deliver that? So one of the things we're looking at is social value. So the SPA is now working very closely with the Lintel Trust. So with the funds that are raised through procuring through the framework, this is invested back into social value projects with the members of SPA, which enables off-site manufacturers to help deliver social benefit for the clients without having to deliver something specifically through a project. Because again, with off-site manufacturing, you're looking at short durations, so it's very difficult for you to be able to invest in local apprentices and things like that if you've got a short duration project. And these are some of the examples of the things we've done with clients, and probably one of the best examples is South Ayrshire, where they used the funding that we provided to actually provide free meals to children during the school holidays. And I guess perhaps Marcus Rashford saw that and took that south of the border. To finish off then, we're actually moving into pre-tender engagement. We're looking at the next phase of our frameworks. So we're looking for suppliers and clients to become involved, and modular manufacturers in Scotland. So I liken our approach to frameworks is we're a bit like Apple. We need to keep innovating and changing. They're on the iPhone 12. We've already got our iPhone 10 frameworks out there at the moment. So we need to be changing and improving those. And the only way we can do that is by getting your input as well. So please either go through the hub, or you can contact us directly and get involved in that process of how we shape this framework going forward, what sort of supply chain we need to have, and how we approach that and offer that out. And we'll only be able to get that right if we speak to the suppliers and the clients as well and get them working together to be able to solve this problem together as a team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. It was great to see the gap analysis in that presentation, and also the traction and the direction of travel towards trying to establish more opportunities for modular construction through public procurement. Our next speaker is Neil Sutherland of Marker. Neil?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm just going to do the usual technical thing. And, okay. How's that? Can everyone see that? Thumbs up from someone, please.
Yeah, can see it. Yes, Neil, we can see.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much. Okay, folks, I'm just going to run through this in about 10 or so minutes, so fairly quickly. So, okay, does this work? Interesting. So just some high-level numbers to start off with. So we're a small organisation just based on the edge of Inverness. We've been in existence for just under a couple of decades. We operate in the custom build sector of the market, so it's usually a customer with a site and a budget and a requirement. At the moment, we're delivering around 15 houses a year, but we're growing as an organisation, and we have around 50 people in multiple disciplines. So right through design and technical, through manufacture, groundworks, we have our own plumber and electrician, etc. these days. So the big challenges, if you like, the context in which we're all working, some pretty kind of staggering stats there. So the built environment really has a lot of work to do to address these issues in the years ahead, particularly the next 10 years, as we all know, is critically important. And we believe by doing so, we can have a huge advantage. We can actually make some considerable kind of change, really, opportunities. So the key message really is with this is a different approach. We need to change the business model. We need to organize ourselves differently, but ultimately we need to inspire people. We actually need to deliver fantastic buildings that are tangibly better than what is being achieved through traditional means. As an organisation, MACA is particularly focused on what we might call the biogenic approach. So this is natural renewable materials. So we're engaged in these bullet points really. So for us, it's about timber, particularly. It's about a factory approach, and it's about embracing digital. The built environment sector can really do a big kind of play on decarbonisation, and we need to do that at scale. The idea of the circular economy is really important. What the decisions we make now have a kind of horizon effect. So what the decisions we make are going to have a huge impact on the coming years, particularly the next 100, 200 years. So we need to take that seriously. Nature-based solutions, that's a term that's being used increasingly, and we fit that very well. And mobilizing on climate change, climate action, that's really about giving opportunity, particularly to young people, to get engaged in this whole sector. So I've been involved in this for a long time, and ecological homes, as they were described, or eco homes, 30 or 40 years ago, it was a bit like this. It was really focused on a fragmented kind of approach to things. It was about design, it was about materials, and it was about energy. Well, things have changed a great deal. That's an image from the Fintorn Foundation, by the way. So how things have changed, really, it's the way I would describe it. It's really about people and about production, and it's about an integrated series of processes. And I've named that the future. It's actually the present and the future, obviously. This is our own workshop. This is one of our workshops. We're expanding at the moment, but this is the assembly workshop as it is. The journey started around 10 years ago for us. This image was taken in 2012 as we assembled our own workshop, which we made ourselves. And we have a long-term approach, a long-term philosophy, which is our why. You might say, well, why are we doing this? Again, the right process tends to produce the right result. So it's really the means result affects the ends in that sense. People and partners, that's about our suppliers. It's about our customers as well. We're working closely with everyone involved. And we have a positive attitude to problems. So I was asked to speak about challenges. Most of what we do in construction is about solving problems for people. So we have to take a kind of positive attitude to that. So design for manufacture and assembly. It's there's things we can do with this approach that simply can't be done in a traditional, conventional manner. And it's not manufacture for design. So this is kind of critical, and it's a massive challenge really for designers. So we really have to have a different mindset in terms of how we approach building challenges. And the term we use in my organization is process innovation. So we're really focused on how we actually do things. The execution of things is rather important. And that results in numerous kind of outcomes, including involving everyone in the organization in a different manner to what normally happens. So it really is about building people. We have a big challenge in relation to gender equality in the sector, which we're keen to do something about. But critically, we need to attract bright young people into the sector. And challenges like digitalization are obviously going to help with that. There's a tidy workshop, which is actually a nice place to work. So the sub-assemblies or modular elements leave the factory in a manner such as this. That's just going down our access track from here. And they're assembled rapidly, but more importantly with quality and consistency. So the speed comes after time. The most important thing is to get things right first time. Embracing digital is critical to the future. So we build things twice. So they're built initially on a computer, and then they're built in actuality. So here's an example of a service module. This is showing the MVHR, the mechanical ventilation heat recovery system. Great advantages in this in the sense that we're able to optimize that equipment. We're able to go back and service it in a circular economy manner. We know exactly how that's been built and how we go in and look after it, change it out, remanufacture it in the future, this type of thing. Here's this module actually made, so it's complete externally and internally. So it's part of a house, the corner of a house, that gets taken onto the site, dropped in, and the rest of the house built around it. So in this case, there are 2 bathrooms and a service area. I'll just go back actually. So the service area in the middle, and then a bathroom on either side. The plumbing, the electrics, the ventilation has been completed, so less time on site. The supply chain is another kind of challenge, although we're making progress with it. Obviously, in the Highlands, we have some good sawmill capability, and that's been developing over the years. But we are missing quite a number of other requirements. So we're able to access fantastic locally sawn materials these days. So there's larch cladding on the right and decking on the left. That's from local suppliers in the north here. But we need to be more ambitious with other materials. At the moment, we are reliant on a number of European countries to actually access simple things like insulation, internal finishes, some of the technical innovations around fixings, and even components like doors and windows at competitive prices. So that's a real challenge for us. I mean, the benefits of actually being able to move in this direction in the coming years are huge, and the opportunities are there also. So insulation is a good example. There's a lot of discussion around massive timber systems, but without the correct breathing type of insulation, these systems don't work correctly. So at the moment, we're having to bring in quite basic materials that we should be making here. So thankfully, there's a lot of discussion around this, so we're quite hopeful that's moving forward. Component development, here's a Dowlam system that we actually developed here a good number of years ago. So a lot of the work's been done on these types of materials, but the commercialization hasn't followed. And there's a number of reasons for that, which I probably don't have time for just now. But what is interesting when one goes to Europe and looks at what they've done there, there's a parallel development in terms of the process innovation and the timber product development. So one doesn't happen in isolation, they happen together. So that's a critical issue, really. Here's an image showing a sub-assembly in one of our workshops here. So it's just an example of the kind of direction of travel. So what we've got there is a window that's been put into a frame in such a way that it's minimizing the thermal bridging. So there's an insulation all the way around that. And the concept here is that that could be produced anywhere in the Highlands, and it's taken and then dropped into an assembly sequence. Okay, so the reason we're doing it separately is because the assembly workshop needs to move quite quickly, and all the kind of tricky elements need to be done elsewhere. So to actually speed up the process of assembly itself. But what's really, I think, what positive about this is that we can actually be pulling in these sub-assemblies or modular elements from across the region. So we don't need big organizations to do this. This could be a network of organizations across the region. Here's another example of a module, a different one, in this case, a single bathroom. So that could be made by a company working in a digital manner with another company, and they can actually come together on site, as it is in this case. Again, that module is completely finished inside with the plumbing and all the services. So these technical issues are, while interesting for us, are they really interesting to the customer? Well, probably not. The customer is really interested in more basic ethereal kind of things, such as comfort, health, and wellness, which we're all focused on, I guess, at the moment. And the great thing is that there's an added kind of focus on that these days. Passive House, a useful benchmark really, really kind of focused on operational energy and carbon issues, but thankfully there's more of attention put to the kind of embodied or upfront carbon issues these days. But really useful quality assurance system that we're working to here in Makar. The future for housing is all electrical, so ceramic panel heating, battery storage, intelligent water systems. The great thing about that is that we can actually produce more energy on the building than we're actually using. So here's an example which has a Tesla battery. This is on the Black Isle house over there. Energy positive, carbon negative homes is the kind of route of travel really. And just to end on this image, it's our ambition to work at scale. This is a development in Easter Ross that's been in development for a number of years, and the opportunities for companies like Makar and others are there, and the alignment, excuse me, the alignment allowing that to happen is definitely happening. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Neil. Great to hear how Makar is developing and pulling together with a real can-do mindset and a mindset to solve problems and innovative ways of thinking. So we're just going to go straight to the next poll. What is the biggest challenge for the Highlands and Islands in achieving net zero in the built environment? Please select one. Okay, and the results are, it's clear that the biggest challenge is upgrading and retrofitting of old buildings with a clear 67%. So thank you for that, Paul. We'll move on to the quick walkthrough. It's just a matter of minutes, the walkthrough about how to register and how to use the matchmaking platform itself. Thank you, Danelle. Hi, to access the Make It Smart Hub Matchmaking platform, firstly navigate to the Make It Smart homepage using the URL shown on the screen. If you're already signed up to the website, click on Login. If you're a new user, please click on Register and create a username and password. You now need to register for the matchmaking platform. Click on Connect at the top. Choose Matchmaking from the drop-down menu. And then click on the matchmaking link, which will take you through to the matchmaking platform. Click on Register Now enter your email address or continue with LinkedIn or Google. And please create a password to continue. For participation type, please select initially whether you're a challenge holder or solution provider by clicking on one of the two active buttons and continue. Please complete a personal information profile and please add a photo of yourself. Complete organisation information. Scrolling down to areas of activity. Areas of activity help us categorise what you do and you offer. It makes it easier for other participants to find you and makes your profile more expressive. Please select all areas of activity that suit your profile. Complete your address. And finally, to complete your registration, please click on Start Conversations, and this will make you visible to other participants on the platform. You will now be taken to an on-screen confirmation that your registration has been successful. All you have to do is visit your email inbox and click Activate to make your account go live. You are now ready to reach out to others and browse the Marketplace catalogue. You can now create and edit and submit your challenges and share solutions with others. So now you have created your profile, you can add challenges and solutions. Shown here are 2 registered participants. If you wish to reach out to someone, you can do so by selecting their profile and request a meeting or send a message. You can also do this by going into the Meetings tab shown in the top right and book a meeting. Meeting history and message history are shown in the top right of the page. If you request a meeting, it will be done online in the platform. To add or edit challenges or solutions, visit the Marketplace tab. You can browse the catalogue using the search function on the left, or you can edit your opportunities by opening up the My Opportunities tab and selecting the Edit function icon. You can see the options here shown on the left hand side. Thank you. Any questions, you can contact me with the details on screen. So hopefully that was helpful in terms of how you register, how the platform will work, and now we'll go to the third poll. What does green recovery mean for you and your organisation for the built environment in the Highlands and Islands? Just waiting for the results. Oh, we've got a split decision. It's low carbon products and new skills and competences. And not far behind is offsite manufacturing. So, which is great because that's all the areas that the Construction Scotland Innovation Centre is working towards. So we'll just move, I think now, what's for our time? Yes, we've got a few minutes for questions. So are all the panelists coming on the screen? Excellent. And the first question. I'll take this question. Okay, what would be the best thing that could be done to improve the supply chain in the Highlands and Islands? And Neil, would you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess, well, market will drive a certain amount of that, but also investment. I think there's real opportunities for businesses to see the opportunities here, and obviously the likes of the new Scottish National Investment Bank could well be pretty important also in driving that. But yeah, we definitely need to look to the future, see what needs to happen, and yeah, drive investment into the area.
Excellent,
Yeah,
thank you. Lucy?
I would back that from Neil. I mean, it's for companies to invest, make the investment in the machinery and equipment required, and the change of process required to move, to modular build. They really need to have a clear line of sight of projects to allow them to take that investment, and that some of that will need to come from the public sector. The public sector is going to need to encourage and support the use of OSM in projects, at least in part, if not, all of the project. And I think we should look to what the UK government have done with the presumption in favour of off-site construction and use that much more within residential and within other commercial and industrial builds driven by the public sector, particularly post-COVID.
Okay.
I was just going to add, yes, I agree with you. It's the aggregation of demand, getting those public sector organisations to aggregate their projects together so they can build a relationship with people, but then bringing those organisations together to increase the supply line, because you can't invest in a factory unless you know how you're going to feed that factory. And we need to have a clearer understanding with the public sector that they need to support that. Because people won't invest in a factory if they don't know where the products are coming from or going to go to, and that's always been one of the problems. So there's lots of people with great ideas and great innovation, and they've got the funding to support them to put a factory or manufacturing facility in place, but it's where is the long-term support for that, and where are they actually going to deliver the products to?
Okay, thank you. So this question I think is really for Tony. Does the Scottish Procurement Alliance set any standards for quality of design or construction that address climate emergency, or for example, set requirements for post-occupancy evaluation, building performance evaluation?
Well, one of the advantages we have of working in Scotland compared to south of the border is that you do have your building warrant standards of gold, silver and bronze, and now you have the platinum standards, which incentivise public sector organisations to go for those levels because they get extra funding in place. But one of the things we will be looking at with the new framework is to look at whole life costing as an approach rather than just price. Which will then promote the benefits of materials and approach to design, as Neil has touched on, things like passive house standards, where the whole life cost for a building, if you take into account energy, is going to be a lot lower. So pushing ahead the standards of what's required. And what was the second part of the question?
That really deals with it in the most part. Tony, thank you very much.
Okay.
We've got just a couple. So we'll take one more question. I'm not sure we can answer, quite technical, but if we can answer this relatively quickly. Are there any discussions going on with the SBCC in terms of how payment and performance security issues could be better covered off in standard forms to cover the situation where a much higher proportion of project costs are incurred before materials are delivered to the actual site? Is that one we want to take offline, or is anyone willing to step in there with that?
I can step in with that.
Sure.
One of the things is getting clearer understanding for clients that the cash flow is completely different for off-site manufacturing compared to traditional build, where they'll enter into contract and do monthly valuations. One of the areas that can be used are vesting certificates, whereby a vesting certificate can be issued on products in the manufacturer's facility, which then the ownership is transferred to the client and the payment is made. So even if there's a financial problem with the manufacturer, that product is owned by the client and can be delivered to the client itself. So that's one way around it, and that's what some modular manufacturers have used, and I certainly know UK government have used that with modular manufacturers where they've been working on some of the MOD projects, where they've had vesting certificates, and you've been to the factory and you've seen an entire barracks block sitting in the factory with a certificate on the side of it to say it's actually owned by the client. So there are ways around that. It's just an education process with the client and trying to move away from the standard JCT, you know, with monthly valuations. Those discussions need to be had earlier. And again, if we're encouraging smaller companies with innovation, that cash flow is critical to them.
And the risk that goes with it. So yeah, that's great. It's great insight. Thank you very much, Tony. So with no further questions at the moment, I will just like to say that the next webinar in the series will be on the 9th of December, and we will focus on construction skills, and registration will be live in the next few days. All attendees will receive an email with the link. The Make It Smart Hub for Construction and Manufacturing SMEs in the Highlands and Islands is part funded by the 2014-2020 European Structural Investment Fund, and support from Highlands and Islands Enterprise, the Scottish Government, Scottish Enterprise are also gratefully acknowledged. Thank you to our contributors today, Lucy, Tony and Neil. Thank you very much. And the CSC marketing team in the background, keeping everything going. And thank you all for attending this morning's webinar. Please complete the feedback form, as we really do appreciate your views. Thank you and stay safe.